to the Appalachian Mountains, where the trees whisper warnings and the shadows move when no one's looking. If you've ever wondered what's out there, keep watching.
If you don't know anything about the Appalachian Mountains, look into the SCPs that they have creeping and crawling there. Look at the supernatural entities they have lurking in those woods and lands. That's Pandora's box, older than Pangea. There's rules there that you have to follow that are different from anywhere else. Everybody talks about the Bermuda Triangle, but nobody talks about the Appalachian Mountains. More people have went missing in the Appalachian Mountains than anywhere.
I was born, raised, and still live in the Appalachian Mountains. If you live here, you know there's no denying that energy shift when night falls. Things can get downright creepy. And there's a list of rules that you should follow to help keep yourself safe when you're out in the Appalachian Mountains. These rules have been passed down over generations. And if you're not familiar with them, they are: don't look in the trees, don't whistle, don't go in the woods alone at night. If you hear something, say your name. No, you didn't. Even if it sounds like a familiar voice, no, you didn't. If you see something weird, no, you didn't. If something chases you, don't run. If you're out in the woods and all the animals and insects go quiet suddenly, then you should probably turn around and come back where you came from, calmly but quickly. And I always have those people in my comments saying, this isn't true, don't believe that girl, but these rules and these warnings aren't new. Unexplainable things happen here. If you live in the mountains or have visited them, chances are you've experienced something unexplainable yourself. I know I've experienced some weird stuff living here. I've heard my name being called by familiar voices when I knew that person was nowhere around, on multiple different occasions, different days, different years, miles apart. And that doesn't even start to scratch the surface on weird things I've experienced while living here my entire life.
Several years ago, I was seeing a patient very far from town, and we had been talking about the interesting things about the city. I'm not going to get too specific because you'll know where I am. We were sharing recipes that other patients had shared with me. We were talking about how beautiful the mountains were, some of the local things going on at the time. It was really great. So then we got to joking about the local folklore, okay? And he said, well, don't whistle at night. And if you see it, no, you didn't. And you can look at the trees, but don't look in the trees. And I'm like, okay. I've heard the not whistling at night thing, but other than that, I try not to take these things too seriously. This was pretty early on in my practice, so I had seen some creepy things here and there, but nothing big had really happened. Well, working in this area, as you can imagine, it's very difficult to find somewhere to stop, eat lunch, and go to the bathroom. I have to pee in the afternoon, right? And so I have to find a rest stop. There was a small library in town, and the librarians were very nice. We got to know each other pretty well. And I would stop and I would eat my sandwich at the library, and then I'd go pee, and then I'd leave. And we just exchanged pleasantries while I was in there, right? Sometimes there were people in there, but overall it was a very little town. I very seldom came across anyone in the library. But one particular day, I just finished eating my sandwich. I'm getting ready to leave. There's a little girl standing between the bookshelves, and she goes, hi. And I'm like, hi. She's cute. And then I go to leave. I'm walking a couple more bookshelves down, and there she is again on my right. And she goes, hi. And I'm like, hi. You move quickly. So don't think anything of it. Get in my SUV, go to leave. Everything's fine. I'm leaving my last visit of the day, and I'm coming. I actually have some video of this. It's not the same area of the woods, but it's so interesting how these roads, the main roads, are often gravel, and then you'd have two trees or clusters of trees that would kind of build a tunnel over the road. It was so beautiful, but also kind of strange because it's so dark in these little tunnels of trees. So I took a video. Last visit of the day. It's quite foggy when I got out in the evening. It's the height of summer, right? And I go to get in my car, and I hear, hi. And I'm like, no, I'm clearly anxious. I heard that in my head. It's not real. So I'm driving home, and as I'm coming down this road, I start to feel like there's something staring at me, which is silly because I'm going like 55 miles an hour, right? Right. Yeah, no, my radio will not stay on. My radio will not stay on the same station. My turn signal, my left turn signal only, keeps turning on. And I'm like this car, it's a BMW X3 6-speed, right? I love this car. It has like 150,000 miles on it. I take this thing to the dealership. I have it checked frequently. I love this car. Never really had a big problem with it because I keep up with it so well, but it is just not agreeable. Like, I'm not understanding what's going on. So I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to go up, take it to the dealership, have this sorted out. It's gotta be something with the computer. Yeah, no. Radio on, radio off, turn signal on, turn signal off, turn signal on, and then it just turns off on itself. I'm like, what the heck? So I get home and I'm talking to my husband and I'm telling him about, my drive and whatnot. And then I hear, hi. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Did you hear that? He's like, what? I'm like, did you hear that? Did you just hear that little hi? He's like, no. Later in the evening, I said to him, because again, it was summer, I'm like, did you turn the AC unit on upstairs? Because our house is over 100 years old. We don't have AC upstairs. So did you turn on the AC unit upstairs? He goes, no. I turned the corner to go upstairs and turn it on. It clicks on. I'm like, that's peculiar. This thing is just it's a window unit. Turn it turns on. Like, very weird. Whatever. The next day, I did not sleep well. Okay? Like, I am having what I would consider to be paresthesias, right? I'm feeling things that aren't there. I don't know if it's stress or it's because I'm anxious or because I'm paranoid, but I am like feeling someone poking me. And I'm like feeling someone tugging on my hair, and I am not sleeping well. Like, halfway through the night, I get up, I go sleep on the couch. I'm just not sleeping well, right? My husband wakes up, he tells me, he's like, I didn't sleep for you know what last night. Me either, weird. Throughout the day, I'm home. I'm off that day. And I'm just hearing stomping around upstairs, the kitchen door slammed, and I'm just rationalizing. Whenever something strange in my house happens, you know what I do? I blame cats. I blame the cats. I'm not taking this too seriously. Then I get to the point where I'm like, this is ridiculous. There has to be some kind of entity or something. I don't know. I'm getting in my head. I'm getting nervous. I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I don't think I'm crazy, but something weird is happening. And she goes, I can't hear you. I'm like, something weird is happening. She's like, I can't hear you. Someone's screaming in the background. I'm like, no. She's like, someone who's yelling hi in the background. I'm like, who's yelling hi? I'm like, there's no one here. She's like, someone is screaming hi in the background. I cannot hear you. It is then I realized I have messed up. I'm gonna go home and bless the house. Something's in it. It's not great. I get in a terrible car accident. I'm in the hospital. I'm like, this thing does not want to be blessed. I go to try to bless it again. 2 of my toenails fell off. I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're not doing this. We're not doing this, and I'm not scared. And this can't happen. In the meantime, my son is younger, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm looking at him, and he's standing in the doorway, lifting his hands up, asking to be picked up, like reaching towards something. I'm like, what are you looking at, honey? What are you looking at? And he's reaching for it. And then he waves goodbye and stops reaching. Oh, no. Who are you waving at, baby? There's no one there, honey. Magnus? My happy self back to that library, okay? And I said, whatever, you're staying here. You're going to take your hat back to where you were, wherever you were in this library. You're not staying with me. I'm not about to do this with you. And I told the librarian, I said, I don't know. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been hearing a little hi ever since I left here. If there's something in my house, it's freaking me out. I'm like, it could just be anxiety. I don't know, but I feel like it's touching my hair at night. I can't do this. And you know what she says? She goes, that's so interesting because we've had people say that they've seen a man in the stock room. We've had people say that they've seen a child. We've had people say that they saw a cat. We've had people say that they saw like a lady working that didn't work here. And I was like, Okay. So in a little town in the Appalachian Mountains, there's a very small library with 2 lovely bookkeepers and a mimic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a mimic. And luckily, it decided to go back to where it came from and stay there because I'm not about to deal with it. So also, those 2 toenails still don't grow back the same. Again, kind of anticlimactic. Nothing bad happened, but nonetheless, it was a pretty creepy experience.
Hey, y'all want to hear about this Appalachian Mountain story? All right, come sit down. Hurry up. So this woman is from Traverse City, Michigan. She said that she went to go visit some family in the Appalachian Mountains. Girl, you should have did some reading before you went there, Pooh. All right, so fast forward, her father asked her where she wanted to go for the summer, and she told her father, I want to go see my first cousin. Like, I want to spend some time with her. I haven't seen her in years. He said, okay, boom. He buys her a plane ticket. All is well. So she said when she first got there, her auntie was pretty much laying down the law like, oh, we don't do this here. We don't do that here. We don't do X, Y, and Z here. And she said that she really was taking it with a grain of salt. It was going in one ear and out the other. She really wasn't listening. So fast forward, she said it was late, and she said that she happened to go in the kitchen, and she happened to look out the kitchen window, and she noticed that it looked like somebody was staring down at her from the tree. So then she goes to the door, she opens the door, and she stands on the porch, and she's basically glaring at the tree, trying to see, is it something staring at me? Fast forward, she starts hearing rustling in the trees, and she ran off. She said she can't remember if she closed the door or not. She just ran away from the door, ran back there to her cousin, and she said, hey, I'm pretty sure it's something in the tree. So the cousin jumps up and was just like, you didn't open the door, right? Right? So then when the cousin jumped up out of the bed and she ran to the front, she noticed the door was wide open, and it sounded like somebody was in the house or something was in the house. So the cousin ran to the front, and when the cousin ran to the front, she did notice that the door was open, and she said that her cousin was trying to close the door, but it took 2 of them to close the door because it's almost like something was blocking them from shutting the door. So then the cousin is going around making sure all the windows are shut and doing stuff like that, because then she starts to hear her name. So she sees her cousin doing all of this, and she instantly thinks, what is wrong with you? So then she looked at her cousin like, you tripping. She like, didn't you hear anything that my mom told you when you first got here? She was just like, I don't really believe in that. I don't believe that there are mythical creatures around here torturing y'all. So the cousin basically was just like, you know what? Okay, whatever. We just gonna stay in my room. I'm gonna lock the door, and we're gonna lay down. We're gonna chill. So she said her and her cousin stayed in the room pretty much, but then she said it sounded like whatever was out there was banging down every single door that it could possibly bang down. She said it was the back door, it sounded like the side door, it sounded like the front door, but then she said that next thing you know, it sounded like a door came flying open or something, because she heard something walking out there. And she said before she had a chance to open up the room door to investigate, that when she was about to reach for the doorknob, she said that something stuck their long animal-like fingers up under the door trying to reach in there. So then she said that she really wanted to open the door because she was like, oh my God, it is an animal in here. I got to get the animal out. Like, girl, and if it is an animal sticking their paw or their fingers up under the door, why you want to open the door? Do you know that I will be in there forever? So basically, she said after that happened, they pretty much, were in there all night. The cousin was like urging her, don't open that door, leave the door alone, wait until daylight. Like, please wait until daylight. Daylight comes, the auntie is finally home from the other family member's house that she was at, and she started talking to her niece, and she was just like, you didn't listen to nothing that I told you, She was just like, I know that you don't believe it. She said, but it is real. She was like, so when you do come here to visit, you have to keep in mind that you can't do what you want to do out here. Everybody gets out the house, and they pretty much, about to go on about their day. When they're walking out the house, the auntie starts to walk around the house to inspect everything. And while she's walking out the house inspecting, she noticed that there are animal footprints that looks like they turned into human footprints. This is nuts. Can y'all please tell me, so people who live in the Appalachian Mountains, I really want to visit there someday. But I don't want to visit and be trapped there because it's stuff like this. Because, baby, I'll never leave out the room. Never. You'll never catch me.
Okay, story time about my trip to Appalachia. While I was doing my spooky road trip last fall, I went to a ton of different haunted locations, and Appalachia was by far the creepiest. I am a paranormal investigator. Usually I like to bring my dog to locations with me, which is what I did. It was just me and my dog alone in Appalachia.
Here he is. Say hello, Rocky.
I was originally
originally driving into the campsite I was staying at in the mountains, I was in my RV and it was daytime and I was still getting this weird sick feeling in my stomach like, I shouldn't be here. I don't get paranoid, by the way, for anybody wondering. I don't get scared easily and I don't get freaked out, but driving in there I could not shake this feeling like, something does not want me here. And the entire week I was in Appalachia, I constantly felt watched. It felt like somebody was right behind me looking over my shoulder even when I was completely alone. I walked Rocky into the woods one afternoon when we were there, and I didn't think we were that far from the campsite, honestly. I thought we were just sticking to the trail, going a few hundred yards, whatever. And suddenly I look back and realize we are far up the mountain. I also realized the sun is about to set and I am not going to make it back before nightfall. We're just about to turn around when I hear something call my name. Very distinctly, I heard Camilla whispered. I look around and obviously there is nothing around me. Like, I am completely alone with my dog. So we turn around, we walk back, and I hear it again. Camilla. And it sounds very close to me, like within, I don't know, 3 feet of me, and there is nobody around. As the sun started sinking lower and lower and it started getting darker, I could tell that something was wrong. It was very quiet in the woods while we were walking back. I didn't hear any birds. I didn't hear any wildlife. And I had that feeling, again, like I was being watched. And I had no idea where it was coming from because it felt like it was all around me. But I had a chill go up my spine. And I just tried to get out of there as fast as I possibly could. We got back to the campsite and I put my dog, into his bed for the night, gave him his toy and whatever. And I went outside to fix the propane tank and to have a cigarette. We were in the corner lot. So that means that I was here. The wood line for the mountains, like going up, was right there. There was nothing between me and the woods. At one point I look over and I see a man standing in the tree line, just staring at me. He is at least 6 feet tall and he is completely motionless. I get up and I'm trying to determine, like, is it another person from the RV camp being a creep? Like, I have no idea what is going on. So I watch him for a while and he doesn't move at all. He just keeps staring at me. I couldn't see his eyes, but I could feel his eyes, if that makes sense. Like, I knew without seeing his face that he was looking directly at me. I got so uncomfortable that I went back into my RV, and when I went out a few minutes later, he wasn't there. There were several nights that I heard noises that I still can't explain. It sounded like banshees shrieking, but worse. It was the most blood-curdling, god-awful noise I have ever heard. I also had luck the entire time I was there. It felt like something didn't want me there. I crashed my RV at the Biltmore Estate one day. It was a lot. So for consistent scariness, it's definitely Appalachia.
I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, and one of the most terrifying experiences I have ever had happened late at night. We were driving up into the Great Smoky Mountains to visit a waterfall called Bald River Falls. This is a waterfall I had been to many times during the day. During the day, the Appalachian Mountains really aren't that scary, but late at night in the middle of the woods is terrifying. And this was pre-smartphone. Like, I was in a car that was a manual transmission, and we just had regular old, I think I had like a BlackBerry or something. And I wasn't alone. I was not the only person in the car that experienced this. I was with 2 other people, I'm not going to name them, and they saw the exact same thing that I saw. We're driving down this road. It's not a dirt road, it's paved, but it's in the middle of nowhere in the Smoky Mountains in Appalachia. And it's past midnight, probably, back when I stayed up past midnight. And we're going around this curve. We're getting close to the waterfall, and I know exactly where I'm at. Like, I know this road like the back of my hand. I spent all my summers up there. That's all there was to do, was go to Walmart and go to the river. And we go around this curve. Mind you, I'm in my old Honda Accord with not great headlights, but we see in the distance, out of the tree line, I won't say someone because it was not a person. It was waving its arm, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, waving it out of the tree line, just like this. And all you could see, it was white. I mean, solid white, like whiter than my shirt white. Just waving out of the tree line like this. And they saw it too. We all saw it. I don't know what the heck that was, but I put that thing down into like 3rd gear and floored it. And we got up and we turned around and we got out of there. We were going to get out of the car and like look around or whatever. We did not get out of that car. And every time I think about Bald River Falls, Tellico, or, Tennessee in general, I think about that night. And I couldn't have had my license for long. I could have been maybe 17. I probably was still 16. And it was cool to be out driving around with your friends. And that experience with whatever that was in those woods still terrifies me to this day. The moral of this story is, do not go into the Appalachian Mountains at night.
Has there ever been a visit that was so bad that I just discontinued the visit and for the sake of my safety just left? Yeah, definitely. More than one, but this is the one that stands out to me the most. I walk into the home and immediately realize that it has a very cleaning product smell to it, and everything is tile. There's a desk with a desktop on it. To the left, to the right, there's a mattress, and then there's like a little sitting, like a little love seat. That's really all I can see. Kitchen is beyond in the back room. So what I'm saying is I didn't get a really good layout of the place. I did notice that when I walked in, the person turned on the TV, said, oh, for some background noise. It was paused. They turned it on, and I was like, okay. The person seemed pretty nervous throughout the beginning of the visit, and I totally understand. Like seeing a provider that you've only met a couple of times or you're meeting for the first time, it's completely normal to be nervous when we're there asking you questions. So it's always my goal to put people at ease. But in this particular visit, this person just seemed very tense, very nervous, very jumpy. So we're about, I'd say, halfway through the visit, and across the TV screen, it says this program is interrupted for severe weather advisory. Something to the tune of that. You know, you've seen the screen that comes across the TV. And it was a tornado like watch, right? So tornado in the area. And I was like, well, I mean, it's kind of cloudy outside, but there's no hail or anything. It's not super windy. And this person had said, well, you know, it looks like there's going to be a tornado, so we better head down to the basement. And I'm like, you know, like I said, there's no hail. It's not really windy. Like, it doesn't look like it's going to tornado outside. They were really persistent about it. They were like, it says weather advisory. We should go to the basement. I'm like, okay. I mean, to be fair, I've never encountered this kind of situation in a home before, but I'm like, this is their home. It does say on the news that there could be a tornado. It shouldn't stop them from seeking shelter, I guess. This is just a circumstance that I'm in, so I guess we'll just roll with it. So I grab my laptop, I grab my bag, and as I'm walking towards the basement door, I hear the advertisement for a movie that's going to come out. Now, this doesn't really sound peculiar. However, this was during COVID. And remember, during COVID, no movie theaters were open. So it was like showing at the end of insert month here. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's no movie showing. Like, I can't remember the last time I heard an advertisement, like a commercial for a movie coming out in theaters. And as I'm paying more attention, I realized this is a recording. Like this TV weather alert is a recording. It's not from now. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Why would it be, why would this? And then I'm kind of putting it together. He's like, come on, we got to go downstairs. I think it was a setup. It was a setup. I honestly believe that. The TV was paused when I walked into the house. It was started when I came in. The person looked very nervous during the whole visit. As soon as that weather advisory hit the TV, they were like, come on, we need to go downstairs. And I realized, oh my gosh, I've been had. So I've already got my stuff in my hands, and I'm like, don't react. Don't freak out. Because at first I was like, oh, like, I know my eyes went wide. I know I looked a little nervous, kind of looked at them. Listen, I took my stuff. I turned around. I took my butt right out that door, right out that front door. I didn't turn around. I didn't hesitate. Gone. Goodbye. I walked as fast as I could. I got to my car. I locked my doors. I'm gone. And so many people ask, like, did you tell someone afterwards? Listen, absolutely. There was no doubt in my mind after that point that something sketchy was going on. Absolutely not. And I always joke to my friends and my coworkers that are like, aren't you scared going into people's houses? I'm like, I'm too big to pick up and run with. Like, there's only so much they can do. But at that moment, during that specific encounter, I truly believe I was getting lured into a basement by being tricked by a fake weather advisory. And I'm not about it. So although this has no paranormal sort of things with it, it was absolutely chilling. Like, to set that up, to think that you can trick someone into going into your basement with such a well thought out plan. No, absolutely not. So that kind of tipped me off, but it was wild.
So if you didn't already know, the Appalachian Mountains have a lot of spooky lore around them. And for the longest time, I didn't believe in any of that lore. I thought it was all just kind of crazy. That's until I had to drive through the Appalachian Mountains on my own. And I experienced some unexplainable things. And I'm not saying it was like supernatural, but I can't help but wonder. So I was driving home after visiting some friends in Canada. And in order to get to where I live from Canada, you have to drive through the Appalachian Mountains. It's like a 6 or 7 hour drive through this heavily wooded area, and I had done the drive before, which I talked about, and some spooky things happened to me, but I'm a very logical person, so I kind of just like wrote it off, like, oh, weird things happen all the time, so I wasn't really expecting anything weird to happen again, but boy was I wrong. Everything was normal in the beginning. I was just driving along this highway, like standard road trip, but then I got to the Appalachian Mountains. Now, I don't remember if I got off an exit or somehow the highway just turned into a single lane road, like one way this way, one way that way, but somehow I ended up on a single lane road. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is kind of weird because on my trip up, I never went on a single lane road. So I was like, oh, they must have rerouted me or something. Anyways, I'm driving down this road and mind you, it is pitch black outside. So all I can see is like the trees closest to the road. Fast forward a couple minutes, I start seeing a couple houses on this tree-lined road, and they're sparse, but they're getting more and more frequent. So I was like, oh, I must be driving through a town or something. But the weird part was no one's lights were on, and it was only like 9 p.m. So I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like no one has their lights on. That said, I just continue driving through this creepy little town, and I pretty much get through it. But before I can leave, at one of the very last houses, I see something, or should I say I see someone. There was this woman who looked to be in her like mid-50s, early 60s, and she was just standing there at the end of presumably her driveway in her pajamas, and she was just staring at nothing. There were no other cars on the road but mine, and she wasn't even acknowledging me, and I was like driving slow because I didn't want to hit her. Now, obviously, I was a little concerned, so before I drove past, I decided to stop, roll down my window, and ask, are you doing okay? Tell me why she doesn't say anything and she just smiles. And that face I will never forget. It is like tattooed into my brain. And I wish I could tell you that was it, but it is not. I continue driving, kind of frazzled by that whole situation, and I get out of the town, and for like 20 minutes, nothing happens. So I'm like, oh, great, I'm fine now. It's until I hear the rear passenger parking sensor start beeping. It's going beep, 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 beep. And I'm thinking, that's weird because I'm driving forward and I'm not parking. So why is it beeping? For like 10 minutes, the beeps get like more constant and then less constant. So I'm thinking like, what is back there? Because I can't see anything because it's still pitch black. Eventually though, the beeps get like super fast. And then I hear a bang in the back of my car and then the beeps stop. And I'm like, what was that? And I was thinking like, I probably should stop to see what just happened. But like something was telling me not to stop. So I didn't. So I just continued driving for like an hour until I absolutely had to stop to get gas. We get to this one gas station, and it's important to note that I am still in the Appalachian Mountains, and I get out of my car to pump my gas, and guess what? I see that my rear passenger taillight is out. Same side that my parking sensor was beeping. So I was thinking back, like, what could have it been? Because I was going 60. Like, deers can't go 60 miles per hour. Nothing can go 60 miles per hour besides other cars. There were no other cars on the road. There was no visible damage to my car. It was just the light that was out. So I kind of just explained it away in my head, saying, like, these two things are unrelated, like the parking sensor thing and the light going out. Anyways, I go to pump my gas, and I quickly realized that it was one of those gas stations where you have to prepay inside to get your gas. So I go inside this gas station to pay for my gas. I was like, you know, maybe I'll get a snack too. So I go inside this gas station and I just start browsing the aisle. I get like a bag of chips and I go up to the counter to pay, and I'm just like, oh, could I get like 30 on pump 2 and could I get these chips? And I look up at the woman working the counter, and I swear to God, it was the same woman from the end of the driveway, like the exact same face. I get all choked up and I start like internally freaking out because the resemblance was so uncanny. But then I start doubting myself. I'm like, oh, I only saw her for a couple seconds. Like, this is just a weird coincidence. She was like acting normal. Like, she checked me out. She got my gas. So I was like, okay, this is all in my head. That face was tattooed in my head, and that was her face. So I was still very spooked. All of this combined with the spooky stuff I experienced on my drive to Canada did not help my mental state. I was like, why was all of this stuff happening, and why did it all happen in the Appalachian Mountains?
So a few ground rules before I leave. Well, I read them. It's to take the trash out, lock up. Oh yeah, we appreciate it if you do that, but that's not what's important here. As soon as it gets dark, all 6 of you inside lock all the doors and windows. We'll stay safe. You cover all the windows, close all the curtains. Do the neighbors like to spy? There's no neighbors here. Oh, right. We're like in the middle of nowhere. It creeps me out to look out into the dark at night, so I'll make sure everything's closed. Good. Stay being creeped out. Don't go out to the woods. That's like common sense. We were planning on hiking. There's trails for hiking. Only go during daytime and don't leave the trail. Of course, when you're outside, stay together at all times. And when you're inside, at least know where the other person is. Never look too long into the trees. Why? You might see something you don't want to. And do not whistle when you're hiking in the woods. Let's just not go hiking, guys. If you feel like something is following you, don't run. And if you hear someone calling your name, you didn't. Let's just not go hiking. Let's just stay here. Just don't go outside from dusk till dawn. Okay, so here are the keys. I gotta get going. I live in a populated area like an hour from here, and I gotta get there before sunset. Call me if you need anything, guys. Bye. Wait, can you give me a ride?
Note to self. Note to self. Do not watch videos about the haunted Appalachian Mountains before you have to walk out of the haunted Appalachian Mountains by yourself in the dark. Not a good idea.
Thanks for watching. If these Appalachian woods gave you chills, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, question everything, and don't follow the sounds in the dark.